The concept of universal atonement comes from this verse. 1 John 2:2, and he is the propitiation for our sins, G 2:66, damnation unbelief, and not for ours only, but also, for the sins, of the whole world. The earliest known proponent of universal atonement was Origen of Alexandria, a 2nd century Christian writer and theologian. In his work De Principiis, he argued that Jesus' sacrifice was sufficient for the salvation of all people, including those who had never heard of him, and that eventually all souls would be reconciled to God. While Origen's views on universal atonement were controversial and eventually rejected by the Church, his ideas laid the groundwork for later theologians, such as John Calvin and Jacob Arminius, to develop their own interpretations of the scope of Jesus' atonement. John Calvin, a 16th century Protestant theologian, believed that 1 John 2:2 supported the idea of universal atonement, arguing that Jesus died for the sins of all people, even those who would ultimately reject him. Jacob Arminius, a 17th century Dutch theologian, also believed in universal atonement and saw 1 John 2:2 as evidence that Jesus' sacrifice was sufficient for the salvation of all people, not just a select few. On the other hand, some Reformed theologians, such as John Owen, argued that 1 John 2:2 does not necessarily support universal atonement, but rather suggests that Jesus died for the sins of all people who would ultimately come to faith in him. I personally find it astounding and a bit frightening by just how stupid we are. It's like God allows us to see a part of the truth, but our pride prevents us from seeing all the truth. Jesus Christ did die for everyone that will ever be born before his second coming. Yet, even if you never believe in Jesus Christ, that doesn't prevent your release. Anyway, for the sins in that verse are not written in the original Greek manuscripts. The Eastern Orthodox Church doesn't agree with the Catholic Church about this either.